Young will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, help and guide us to make the best possible decisions we can for the community of Boonville, Missouri. And thank you for this great January weather we've been having. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Roll call. Teresa. Pardon me if I call you Mary on occasion.
Young,
Yes, here.
Evans,
Here.
Meadows, Beach,
Here.
Hurt,
Here.
Carter,
Here.
Ehlers,
Here.
Heaton,
Here.
Okay. Hearing of citizens' comments at this time. If you have some comments you would like to make, it's your time to come to the podium. And we have Corey Wright from the CCBC who has asked to have some time this evening. So Corey, you've got about 7 minutes. Give or take.
Give or take. I'll try not to take all 7.
Okay.
I hope I'm speaking loud enough. My wife gets on to me because I have a low kind of voice. But
Just speak into the microphone.
yeah. First, I'd like to thank you for coming out yesterday. That was really awesome and showed
You're
us that
welcome.
you're supporting us and what we're trying to do.
You're welcome.
Pretty much it's just about perception. And perception is the way that we think or understand something or somebody. It's the ability to understand or notice something easily. And unfortunately, the perception in our community is the area of town that the CCBC is a part of is not as important as other areas. And this is displayed by the abandoned properties, the overgrown properties that continue to be an eyesore in that area. I mean, it's just a fact. That's what it is. We as an organization can take some responsibility for our role that we've played in it. I know as I was growing up, it was an area that was, people took care of their stuff. But people get old, they die off. We grow up, we move away. And that's kind of what happened is we've grown up, we moved away. Now we're back with our family and we want our kids to be able to experience the CCBC, the way that it was when we were growing up. And it's kind of an eyesore to see it the way that it is right now. We could take responsibility for the role that we played, but as a community, we have an obligation to revitalize this area. It's so that it's something that we can all take pride in. We've got to work together to fix this. I'm not blaming anybody or anything, it's just what it is. But we've got to come together as a community to fix it. It deserves to be fixed. It's played a huge role in making Boonville what it is, and it deserves to have it to do. Some changes that I'd like to see in the area. I know we're not supposed to come and ask for money, and I'm not. It's about working as a team. It really is. You can't put a dollar sign on what needs to happen down there, but it's going to take one step at a time for us to get it done. I'd like to see some more street lights down there. It's a pretty dark, gloomy area at night, not just for safety concerns, but to help the area look better. Like I said, the perception is, and you go down there at night, and it's really dark, and it's kind of creepy. If you weren't from around here, and you're just going and kind of taking a tour of Boonville, and you go down there at night, it just looks creepy and really bad. We need to work together to begin to tear down those abandoned houses, clear up some of the brush area around there. It looks really terrible. I mean, we have couches that's grown up into the brush, old toilet stools in there. I mean, tires, beer cans. It looks terrible. And we need to work together as a community to fix it. It's not just going to take the CCBC, but it's going to take the city council, the people in our community to come out and put in the work to revitalize that area. We need to work together to try to find the owners of that property so we can get it cleared out, fixed up. I'd like to see some kind of beautification project going down there. I'd like to see us get a hold of that property and put a playground, because there is kids that still live in that area. A playground, a basketball court, something that's going to wrap around the whole community center of the CCBC. Some of the future plans that we have there. The YMCA is great. I go there. Used to go there a lot more. I'm a little heavier since my wife had the baby, but it's beside the point. It's great, and it does serve our community well. But Unfortunately, for low-income people, middle-class people that are choosing between food, electricity bill, what are their kids going to go? What are they going to do? The YMCA is expensive to a certain extent. The CCBC, we're trying to have programs for kids that are free. Because when I was growing up, playing baseball was free, playing basketball was free, and now it's like $65, $70. So what about that family that needs to put food in their belly, needs to pay a light bill, but they're still concerned about what's going on with their kid? Something needs to be done, and that's where we're going to step in and we're going to do it. And we're going to do it with or without your help. But I would hope that you would come on board and join the movement. But it's going to happen one way or another, and by any means necessary will it happen. What we're going to try to offer is recreation services down there, mentoring, tutoring, individual counseling, leadership programs for the kids to get involved in. We've got to make a change. We've got to make it with the kids. Not saying that we have to give up on anybody else, but the key is the kids. We've got to make the change with the kids. Because if we don't change them, it's a lost cause. We're looking to change the whole dynamic of a family, not just a kid, and we're going to do it one kid at a time. So like I said, I'd like to see you get on board and help us out in this movement. Because it's one thing to continue to talk about it. It's another thing to put action behind your words. And all you guys ran for election to get up here to make change. So we're coming to you saying, let's make the change. But ultimately, it's your decision. As long as we continue to be a productive organization right where we are, the change will happen. Change is going to happen. And we're going to keep on plugging and keep on plugging. And we'll be here every time y'all have a meeting. And we'll bring up some other issues until something happens. Because it's exactly what Martin Luther King did. It's the same thing. Change has got to happen. It's got to happen right here in Boonville. Because Ferguson, Missouri is bubbling right under the surface. I talked about this yesterday. It's one little kid away. It's one police officer away that refuses to get out of his car and be proactive instead of reactive. One little incident. That's how close we are. So it's time for the change to happen now, and either you can continue to talk about it, join the movement, and leave a long-lasting mark on your community. And thank you for your time. That's all I have, and God bless you guys.
Thank you, Corey. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Jackson. And,
Well, if you would speak into the microphone, people are listening at home on their television.
my name is Peggy Carney Jackson. I'm not only a board member of CCBC, I'm a school bus driver for down near CCBC. I have children in Hannah Cole that are standing out in the dark waiting for me to pick them up. It really needs light down there for the kids.
Okay.
You know, I don't mind walking down there myself, but the kids, you have to keep them safe. And like he says, we're trying to build a community for the kids in that area. I have kids that walk all over that area. I live in that area. Walk all over that area, have nowhere to go, nothing to do. But you just see them playing in the street. We're trying to better that. We need to better it.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, could you sign there's a piece of paper there, and if you could just sign your name, it's so that we make sure we get it in our minutes. And that would be Ward 1, so if you would put Ward 1. Emil, you might check and make sure all the lights are working in that area, none of them are burned out. Okay. Any other comments from the public?
I know that y'all like, oh, what does she have to say today? I'm Tawny Brown Warren. I'm the president of CCBC. Came here to support my colleague up here in front of you today. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see. But there can be no change without conflict. I would be lying if we told you that every time we come in front of you that we are going to say something that you like. That's just not going to happen. But what we will say is something that needs to be said. And we do truly appreciate the support from some of our city officials, like Mayor Thatcher, who came to our MLK celebration. I understand the last time we spoke, she didn't like some of the things I've said. That's okay. That's okay. But as a mayor, she understood that regardless if she doesn't like some things I said, that she represents this whole community. And that even though you may not like some of the things we say, that does not invalidate what we say. So I hope that you will listen to us as we continue to come back here as many times as we possibly can, as many times as we were allowed to, and to voice our concerns, because we truly do want to work together. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Tawny. Any other comments? Seeing none, we will move along to approval of the minutes of the January 5th, 2015 council meeting. They were in your packet and you've had time to read them over. Any changes, additions, or corrections to the minutes? Seeing and hearing none, they will stand as presented. Congratulations, Teresa, your first set of minutes there, past muster. So. Consent items, we have only one tonight. It's considered change order number 2 from Stockman Construction Corporation in the amount of $9,552.84, which is actually a credit for the concrete street repairs of 2014.
Mayor, make a motion this be approved.
Thank you, Morris. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Becky, thank you. Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Presentation of accounts and claims. Teresa, when you're ready, if you would please read that.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the City of Boonville which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on January 20th, 2015, the sum of $368,859.02. General Fund, $236,900.28. Sanitation, $21,479.81. CIP tax, $6,323.37. Waterworks, $19,282.17. Capital projects, $1,868.64. Wastewater, $53,351.81. Tourism, $7,868.86. Gaming, $21,784.08. Parks and Water, $0.00. Section 2, the bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw the checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $368,859.02, being the total amount of money being above appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on January 20th, 2015, read for the second time this 20th day of January 2015, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, make a motion this be approved.
Thank you, Morris. Do I hear a second? Becky?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Unfinished business, item A, second reading of bill number 2015-001, renewing and continuing the capital sales tax.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, renewing and continuing a sales tax for capital improvements, providing that the sales tax will be in effect for a period of 5 years and providing an effective date therefore.
Do I hear a motion?
Mayor,
Morris?
make a motion this be approved.
Is there a second? Ned Beach seconds. Discussions, questions? It's pretty straightforward. Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item B, continued discussion on hospital matters. You had a memorandum, and we have discussed this in the past, and I see that Danny and Mike Conway are both here representing the hospital, and Nancy Frederick. Did you want to make any comments before we start, or just wait and let us begin up here? Okay. Earl, did you want to make any comments?
I give you a memo just for, so you might have something to start with to try to work our way through the issue. Just, I guess, clarify a couple of things in there. I did mention some things about some adjusting entries. I didn't mean to make any negative comments about the present administration, but rather to point out the fact that they were necessary gives you some idea of the problems that things had become before hopefully we've started on a turnaround now. And so I think in the meetings I've had with Danny and other folks, they seem to have a very good handle on the circumstance, on the details, and on the fixes. And I think she's worthy of our support to just try to figure out how we can cobble it together as a community to make it enough for them to hopefully get back with a little breathing room and move us on forward. I think the alternative is almost too much to even think about it. I mean, I see we get beat up again this weekend for Nordine closing for what, the 6th time at least, even though it's only closed once. So I can't imagine what they'd have if something else happens. So I think it's obviously something very important to the community and something we need to deal with positively. So I guess we're open to your directions on defining what that method is.
What's council's feelings on this? Prefer to let you guys start. I can give you mine, but prefer to let you guys.
Well, okay,
Ned?
I always get to start first, I guess, but thanks to Earl and thanks to Danny. We, and Noah sending me some good notes as well. Steve and myself and Earl met with Danny and had a fairly thorough hour, would you say? Danny's got her plate full. She's got a big challenge ahead of her. My impression is that there's no question but that she's capable, and that she needs some support. The difficulty of this issue for me and for anybody in the city that has had to partake of the hospital services is that it's amazing that we would ever consider it not being here. From an economic development standpoint, it's another amazing piece of information. We had asked Danny for information about where the employees live. The majority of them live in Cooper and Howard County. And we asked her about where the business was done. Majority of it was Cooper County and Howard County by dollars. But by town and zip code, we're talking about all over the country. 247 lines like this. This is economic development. This is folks that were here in town and partook of the services. I was amazed. I had some other expressions that I said when I saw it too. It's a very, very difficult issue to take and do this. So I'm going to put it down to what I asked a friend of mine the other day. I said, if we'd had a chance with all of these jobs that we've lost in the last, 8 to 10 years, if we had had a chance to put $500 in a bucket and save every one of those jobs, what would we have done? It would have been $750,000 to save 1,500 jobs, right? If we'd had a chance to do that, would we have done it? I would say yes. I think we would have stood right up and said, yes, let's do it. Here, that's what I think we need to do. I think we need to put $500 per employee in there. It amounts to between $50,000 and $60,000. But what that does is that it assures us that these employees have a chance of staying here and staying employed. And for the rest of us that eventually will get to partake of the services, we're going to know that the facility is here. I say that with great reservation. We don't have a whole lot of room in our budget for this. It wasn't something that was planned. And Earl is always very, very careful to plan ahead of expenses of this size. So I think that has to be addressed, that Earl feels confident that he can pull that money out. But I'd like to suggest that we accept Earl's recommendation in his memo, and I support that.
What's the other feelings? Becky?
I definitely agree in that we need to do something. We can't sit back and watch the hospital close, whether it's within the year, within 1 year, within 2 years. It's definitely an asset to the community. It serves a benefit. I think it saves lives. Even if the person is stopped and they're taken care of there to where they can be transported on, if what they need is offered in Columbia and they can't take care of that here, but that person had to go on to Columbia, they might have died on the way. So I definitely feel it's an asset that we need to protect.
Morris?
I'd echo what Becky just said. I've talked to several members of the community, and I feel like the majority of the community wants us to step up and do something to try to save the hospital. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to go with Earl's recommendation and at least try everything we can do.
Okay.
Can we ask Danny a question?
Sure.
Okay. Can you step up to the podium, Danny? I didn't get to meet with you, but I definitely know that we need the hospital. I don't have any concerns about that's not a question in my mind. I have some concerns about how did we get to this point? How did it get so dire? I have concerns not only with my own experiences out there, but also having worked out there in the community outreach. What steps are being taken to ensure that when citizens do use the hospital for services, that they're getting excellent customer service? We all know that if you don't get a smile when you go into Cooper County, you're going to take your business down the road. So these employees and staff people at the hospital have been through a lot. And there's a lot of bad attitudes out there. I'm just going to call it like I've seen it. So can you address that? What steps are being taken to ensure that when people do use the hospital that they want to go back out there? Because I don't care what services you offer. If they're not offered in a manner where people feel they're appreciated and you're glad they're there, they're not going to go back.
Absolutely. And I want to clarify that I heard two questions, one about financial stability and what we're doing based on what has occurred in the past.
Yeah, basically.
And then the customer service aspect. The question about sustainability and how did we find ourselves in this position, I wish was a simple question or answer. It's complex, but I will try to sum it up in groups. The healthcare industry reimbursement temperature has changed dramatically. So there has been a lot of change in operations, a lot of changes in healthcare in general. I'll use the example, about 40 years ago, the average length of stay for a hospital for someone that was admitted was well over 20 days. Today, industry standards are less than 4. So that certainly changes a lot of dynamics in how you staff and how you run operations. There's a lot of dynamics locally that we dealt with, and that is, all of those factors are what we're taking in place and putting in best practices moving forward operationally. That's one of the reasons I'm here. That's one of my passions. So we are taking best practice with quality. We are taking best practices with financial management, with service, which leads into your second question, is what are we doing about morale? What are we doing about customer service? When I came to Boonville, early May, late April, walking into the situation is one that a culture that it was very common for anyone to recognize, we're going to close. That was a very easy thing for people to say. They had accepted it at that point. I would venture to say that's a very hard thing for someone to swallow, and you almost get into a state where you accept that and you don't care. So what we have been doing is focusing on more of those positives that we've gained. And anecdotally with healthcare, we are in the business of diagnosing what's wrong and then fixing it. And all too often we miss the picture of we're saving lives every day and being able to recognize that. We have put a lot of effort in making sure that people are recognized for the efforts that they're providing. So that's my answer to your question, is the focus on the employees. Absolutely, everyone is doing more with less. I don't think healthcare is even different than anywhere else. But we're putting a lot of focus on that. We have metrics that we're able to measure our customer service, and we're taking that information back to our staff and talking about, we may think we're doing a good job, but we want the actual feedback from our staff, from our patients, our customers, and we're addressing that. We have seen overall satisfaction in this last quarter of 2014 higher than we've ever had it since we started initially, and I would say that we've been doing it for at least a couple years, this particular survey that we do. In addition, we are coaching and we are talking about it every day, every patient, every single time. That is our niche. We are a small enough organization that you don't get lost in the numbers. And that is something that it's every single employee, every single time we have an opportunity to talk about that. It doesn't change overnight. It's the right people in the right seats, all the analogies you can think of. But it's something that we're holding that accountability and moving forward. That's the expectation in healthcare.
Okay. And last time you were here, I'd asked a question about billing, and I think Ned may have asked you about it. The patient billing, not vendor billing. That has been a mess for years. So how is that straightened out so that you're getting more money from private pay? Because I know the numbers were really low before, and a lot of it was going to soft collection and then being written off.
Yes. I can appreciate Councilmember Beach's time, because we went through the process of collection and billing for our hospital services. Again, and not a simple question or an answer, but my summary would be is that we're taking those best practices that you're seeing throughout the industry. We're applying those to what we do now, and obviously we still have room to improve, significant room to improve, but we're now holding those accountabilities to those metrics and saying if someone else can do it, we're going to do it too. And we're seeing results, positive results in that manner.
Good, thank you.
I'd like to say it's fixed tomorrow.
Well, nothing like that gets fixed overnight. It didn't take you that short amount of time to get there, so. Okay, thank you.
I think all small hospitals are fighting the same battles you are. We're not unique.
Absolutely not.
Cooper County Memorial Hospital is not unique in the problems that they're having, so.
No. I'll add that over 40 small community hospitals our size have closed over the last 18 months in the United States.
So, okay. Anything else, Kari?
No, I'm satisfied, thank you.
Noah?
Yeah, that, to your comment about saving lives, it's a great thing to save a life, but it's a hard business to be in when you're getting paid little to nothing to do it. And to your comment about the hospitals that have closed, can you speak to the reasoning of going to the surgical unit? Because we all did our own research, and to me, a lot of constituents that I've spoken to wonder why you don't have an urgent care, but you're putting a surgical unit in. And my analysis of a lot of the financial records that you guys turned over to us was it seems like the more you spend, the higher your revenue goes, your expenses go at a much higher rate for some reason, which in accounting, typically you don't see that. Typically, the more money you make, the trend is that your expenditures don't follow the same trajectory. But for some reason, and maybe it's just because we had such a short sample, because I know there's a big difference between 18 months ago compared to the last 2 months. But I guess my concern that I'd like you to speak of about the decision to go to the surgical unit way also kind of ties into the leadership. And this isn't you, because you just got on board, but some of the things that you just said, I was sitting here thinking, God, I heard your predecessor say the exact same stuff, and yet here we are. And not to beat the board up, I sit and wonder, what's their role in this? Are they the same board members that were there the last 18 months when it was like a dumpster fire? So I'm just, my concern is I'm worried about, we're going to shell out 50 to 100,000, and if you turn it around, then it's a great success story. We shell out 100,000 and you close your doors in 6 months. Can you talk to that?
Sure. Well, I think that's the question that needs to be asked and answered. I would say the strategy behind surgery lies 100% behind the return on investment for surgery. There's a high return in surgery, and the need is there. As I talk about healthcare and the changes in healthcare, we are seeing a much greater trend to outpatient and surgeries. We are seeing 80% is pretty industry standard of business moving to outpatient basis, which is surgery for the most part, and sending them home for a quicker recovery. So when it comes down to that question is very simply answered, is it comes down to money, as that's where the biggest return is. Now, I do want to add, over this last 10 months plus, we have put a lot of focus on our current book of business. And with the changes and the decrease in expenses that we've had and the ever so slightly increasing volumes that we've experienced through our emergency department and throughout all of our other services, we have gotten ourselves to a break-even basis. The additional funds that we're going to, the additional services that we're going to be starting up will allow us to reinvest not only in our people, but in our capital, which healthcare has a healthy appetite. There is not one piece of equipment in that organization that it's difficult to come in under $50,000, $100,000. So that answers your question about the expenses tend to rise at the same point. Does that answer a lot?
It does, but I guess more specific to the surgical unit, so then are you saying that your return on the investment, so are you saying that your ability to collect payment for those type of services is greater than, say, what is a stereotype of the medical industry where you provide a lot of services and then you never get paid for it and you just have to eventually write it off? So on the surgical units is because it's a more higher price thing, most people have insurance, so you have a better chance of recovering for your services versus?
That's probably a very good analogy of that direction. I hate to throw out numbers because you have a wide spectrum of what those costs are, but if we average, say, a $20,000 revenue from a surgery, an average visit to, say, or a clinic would be anywhere from 100 to 150. So there's volume in clinic visits, whereas 1 or 2 surgeries makes a significant impact on our revenue.
Do you still have home health?
No, we divested
No
this
home
last.
health? Physical therapy?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have a full complement
They had a
of.
great home health.
They did a wonderful job. Where we struggled is the volume.
Oh, yeah.
Steve?
Since you're asking for money, you just kind of wonder about assets. And I believe, I hope I didn't dream this up, but Gary, I think at your last Parks and Rec meeting, you were talking about park sites. And I think you said that they might be willing to give up some land, and this may have been in the past, out there where you own land, besides where the hospital is, out there where the ponds are or something. I mean, how desperate do you get before that's pretty valuable land, I would think.
Absolutely.
I mean, how desperate do you get before you get rid of property that's not bringing in any revenue? Mike might have an answer to that.
Yeah, and I haven't been privy to those questions yet. We've talked about, we currently sit on 40 acres, and what do we do
Right.
with that?
40 acres.
Yeah.
And he said, am I talking right, Gary?
I think we had talked about that at one time, but I don't know that there was ever nobody ever approached the hospital board or anything about
Right.
anything out there. We partnered with them a couple of times, fishing derbies and things like that in the lake, but nothing solid, no.
But you're sitting on some pretty valuable assets there, so
Absolutely.
just a point.
Any other comments? Henry, do you have any?
Yes,
you wanna say?
I've been, in the last month, I've probably been out there 3 or 4 times as a patient, one way or the other. And it's been positive. One positive thing was, I remember going down and taking a shower, and this lady has taken care of me several times, Miss Wright. And when I came back from my shower, the room is always totally straight. I mean, my papers laid out, everything is just the way I just can't imagine that she can get it all done in the amount of time I was gone. But that's a good thing. There's been times that I've passed cars on my way to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. And I couldn't imagine trying to drive to Columbia because you can't breathe. I just can't imagine that. And the thing is, we need a hospital. I'm sure we could go across the river to Fayette and find out what kind of predicament they're in. I see them coming over here all the time with the ambulance, and sirens trying to get to our little hospital. That's quite a little ways. I used to work there, and I remember when we had 69 patients in that hospital, and like you said, things have changed, I was out there last night. I had a sleep study last night. And like I said, it's been good. I think we definitely need to try to help you this time. There's no doubt in my mind we need to help. I've had a person or two call. I don't get a lot of calls, but when people call, I listen to them. And I had a lady call me, and she definitely thought we needed to keep this hospital, and I've always thought that. So I think we need to give you some money, and I think we need to do everything we can do. And I also think that another thing that's been on my mind is I heard the county loans you some money. At this time, you don't need a loan. You need somebody to give you something and not have to worry about paying it back. Years ago, Dr. Obley and I went to the county to try to get some things done. And we couldn't get them to help. They wanted to help with little projects. But this is a time when you need help, and I think we need to give you some money and not worry about when it's going to be paid, or I don't think we need to. I think it needs to be a grant, and I think the county needs to step up and make whatever they gave you a grant also. That's pretty much what I've got to say.
Thank you, Henry. Has everybody got to make a comment? I just want to say I agree. I think we need to do this. I can't imagine our community taking many more blows, and if I have to answer a question to a Columbia Tribune reporter about our hospital closing and losing that, I don't know what I'm gonna say, because like Earl says, they take it and just.
I didn't know who else's phone number to give them. Sorry.
By the way, I'll give you my new phone number. So, but anyway, this is very important. And it's something that we can do and we should do. And Ned pointed out the economic development and the business side of it. These are jobs, these are probably some of the best paying jobs in Boonville. These are people that live here, work here, they go to the grocery store here, their kids go to school here, everything. So I think we have just got to do this, and I am certainly willing to push for the 60,000 is what Earl had in his memo, and I certainly hope that the IDA and the MFA, I don't know if have you talked to them about this, or Jim Gann or anybody?
I suggested that Jim give them a heads up at the last meeting, but I didn't attend that meeting, but I think that's possible. But I think we need to have a strategy for the rest of it. I mean, are your numbers still tracking with your original request? What did you have, 325? Was that where you started?
325, and with the remaining portion, 110 was the remaining
110
portion.
is left, and those are still accurate,
Correct.
solid numbers. So she still has a gap over and above the 60. There's a gap of 50. And I know you said you could do some little bits and pieces as you went, but I think you need to get to the 50. So, I mean, the council thinks it's as important as you describe it. Maybe we could do it all, but I just think about the opportunity cost. Where you asked about Ginrich Building, stuff like this, why that stuff never gets done. But everything else probably pales in significance to this. So, but if it's that important, somebody ought to help us too. Henry, I think your comments are well placed. And it is a county hospital.
Right,
It's not
that's
city.
what I was
It's in a
gonna
county hospital. So, and in fact, of their role this time probably points out their absence almost every other time. So, but anyway, if I don't think we want to risk not being able to do it.
So we had talked about the 60, but we also have Earl had come up with some other possible funding sources within the city structure. So, but.
Yeah, it'll probably necessitate you making another little presentation.
Not a problem.
For a couple of those, but even when we got there, there's probably still a little gap, and maybe, I know you were in a hurry, and you've seen we don't act awfully fast, but
I can appreciate
I
that.
think we could ask Kate or Noah, are you the IDA person, maybe to get those two bodies to meet and get that one out of the way. I think the foundation is looking for a meeting very early in February, and so we could, I think, pull that off, and then we'll see where we're at then. And as we get a little closer to March 31, I have a little more visibility in terms of the end of the year, and that would be useful for me to fine-tune our piece of it.
Okay. Steve?
I guess the question is, the 60,000 hurt? I think Earl needs to decide what hurts.
Well,
We'll have to send him out to the
Does it
hospital.
hurt?
yeah, I get
Get a
diagnosed,
Band-Aid.
right? So,
So, well, I think he said the 60,000 was doable,
yeah,
So it doesn't hurt.
and our check wouldn't bounce.
yeah, the
So-
check's not gonna bounce for any.
What's
any-
going to
any-
hurt, Earl?
What's going to hurt?
What's going to hurt?
Well, I mean,
So I think
I
what
would
you just
suggest
said.
we go ahead and give them the 60, however we can communicate. I think it ought to be a grant, I agree with you, Henry. Let's try to get the other three entities together in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see where we stand on any gap, and, I mean, maybe there's some other entities out there that ought to help too, if anybody had the initiative to ask. I don't know why.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes, I think we probably do.
Yeah, so
Just a
and
second.
I
we got
would
some-
put in there
I
that
moved-
Kate and Noah try to orchestrate a timely response from the other two
Okay.
bodies.
I think you had your hand up first, so go ahead.
I move we grant, the City of Boonville grants to the Cooper County Hospital $60,000.
for the surgical. Do you have a name for that specific project? I mean, we're not giving this to you to decrease debt or anything like that.
Right, the
What
surgical
is-
program.
Surgical program.
For the surgical program.
Okay.
I second.
Kari seconds it. Okay, I saw a couple of hands go up over here.
Do we need to add to that motion that we would also assist the hospital in trying to obtain the balance?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to include you can't dictate to the IDA and
No,
MFA,
but
but you
I'm
can
talking-
request that they give it due consideration. And,
Or, like you say, the foundation?
yeah, and I'm on
that-
that board, so I'll ensure that that gets done. So,
That way we can, let the hospital know that we will be working with
Right,
them,
right,
trying
right,
to,
so-
Do
If
sure
it's
the
okay.
request gets done.
get the request gets done, that's correct.
Okay. So do you want to add that to your,
Yep, but I think you want to add it to your second.
Second.
did you get the addition
Yes, that they will assist the hospital and do consideration for the remaining
for the
funds.
remaining?
They're separate.
Okay.
Gotta keep you going.
Noah, did that answer? You had
No, it's
your
fine.
hand went up. You're okay?
Fine.
Any other comments, questions? Would you please read the motion again?
Okay, they move to grant the Cooper County Memorial Hospital $60,000 for the surgical program, and the City of Boonville will also assist the hospital due consideration for the remaining funds.
Okay.
Can we specify the remaining funds? Up to, or what are the remaining funds?
50,000. Correct?
no, 50.
Is that right? Is my math?
And is,
Here it is, it is.
So add remaining $50,000 funds.
it's fine.
Okay. Anything else to add to that?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if we can do this, but I think we are to add that the grant, or the money, the loan from the county, as a taxpayer, as a county taxpayer myself, that we add that they make theirs a grant also.
Well, I don't think we can do that.
Well,
I'm
I
not sure.
pay taxes.
And to be real honest with you, I think they're looking into that right now.
Okay.
So I don't think that's been set in stone.
Call your county commissioner.
But we as
Yeah. Call your,
citizens
yeah,
can voice
call
our
your
opinion.
commissioner and tell them how you
Yeah.
feel about it, quite honestly. Do you have those numbers on your cell phone to give out tonight?
No, I know their names.
No, okay. Okay. Is that it? Okay, roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glad to help you out, Danny.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck to you. New business, we have none. Reports of standing committees, Historic Preservation Commission. Kari, you've got a couple of meetings?
Yeah, the meeting on the 8th, let's see, what was it? I did not attend, and the last one I went to, but there was no quorum. So the minutes for the 8th meeting are in the packet.
Anyone have any questions for Kari on that? Okay. Industrial Development Authority and Municipal Facilities Authority, Noah?
Yeah, the minutes are in the packet, but if you also recall, I think these minutes we kind of got crisscrossed. I think Jim's already been here to speak about what's in those minutes too, so, but they're in the packet.
When is your next meeting?
Well, it'd be the 17th, and, my opinion on that, I'll get with you later to see what you think, and we'll get with Jim, but that's a whole
Special
month
meeting.
away.
I think we
I
need
think
to-
we need to
I
have a
think a
special
special
meeting,
meeting.
probably the next 10 days or something,
Yeah.
get
Yes.
people together.
Okay,
But that's what we'll try to do.
very good. Boonville Housing Authority, Ned?
Another great meeting. Any questions? Good.
Okay. Reports of city officials, city administrator, Earl, you got anything?
I don't have anything of substance. I just want to call your attention to something I hope you've noticed in your travels around town, that we did some of our annual crack sealing in December, before Christmas, namely Main Street from the bridge clear out past the hospital. And frankly, it's probably the best, you get the best bang for your buck in doing that of any maintenance thing you can do in the city. And the guys did a very nice job on that. There were some other selected streets we did too, if you happen to hit those. But it was a nice job, nice, neat work. So.
Good. Okay, is that it? Okay, Mayor, I just have one thing. I put a piece of paper at everyone's place this evening. There is an unfilled vacancy on the Historic Preservation Commission, and I would like to appoint Sherry Broyles to serve on that commission. She has indicated that she's willing to serve if appointed, but I don't believe she's notified Steve Young yet about this. It seemed to come as a complete shock to him, so.
Do you have a motion, Steve?
Who would like to make a motion?
I will.
Nominate.
I'll nominate.
Okay, thank you. Who would like to second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call for Sherry Broyles to be appointed to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Young?
I'll abstain.
He has to
Smart
recuse
move.
himself.
Smart move.
Evans?
Yes.
Beach?
Yes.
Hurt?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Ayers?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
She's retired, so she has a lot of time on her hands. City Councilor Megan, do you have anything?
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. Economic Development, we don't have that report this evening. City Clerk?
Okay. The filing period for April the 7th, 2015 municipal election closed at 5 p.m. this evening. Following is a list of the filed candidates and their respective wards. In Ward 1, it's Steve Young. Ward 2 is Stan Baker and Vanessa Dorman. Ward 3, Becky Ehlers. Ward 4, Mark Livingston. City Attorney, Brad Wildridge. The ballot and any issues will require final certification by January 27th, 2015.
Okay. Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
Any questions on that? Okay. Miscellaneous.
I think I've got two things, if I'm not mistaken. The first thing is Boonville Fire Department yearly run survey. That is, it's just amazing. We've got 252% increase in medical calls and 20% less fire calls. I mean, this is just I read this, I said, how do we do that? I mean, that's 2 medical calls a day. I mean, whoa.
The good news is the fire side of it is very good.
Yes.
We had very few fires, and the dollar damage was very minimal, or less.
And I always get a tickle out of some of Earl's cryptic little written comments on these. And he gave us a copy of the second economy is here now that I hope you all read, because we have tourism, we have housing, we have recreation. I added, service. The Angie's List kind of stuff is just, I mean, it's ballooning because families are working, mom and daddy are working, and retail as strong areas. And we really forget how strong our tourism is. We need to remember how important that is to this community, because it's like we were talking about with the first impression going into the hospital, the same thing with Boonville and our corridors. I got to say it. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor,
Thank you, Ned.
on
Yes, sir.
that, with the fire department, the medical part of that that's a big thing to me, because, see, I worked the ambulance service back in the 70s when all we had was a station wagon. And when you've got somebody to come out and help you work a call, that is just, you just don't know what it is.
Any other comments?
Earl, on your, the same thing that Ned was just alluding to about the economic development. One of the things I like to point out, when you're saying about tourism, housing, recreation, anything else, I noticed that going back and looking at our last year actually with Moberly, I noticed that some of their gains in Salisbury, Glasgow, and Monroe City were all three contributed to somebody who actually grew up in those towns and brought those businesses there. And in Salisbury, it was a person who came back, started a brand new company. Glasgow, it was a family that reopened a closed factory. And then Monroe City, of course, stole our Indico, and it was directly related because of somebody in a position to move the company that's from there. And I know that Corey and Tawny's remarks about our children who move away, you know, I really think some of the research I've done really shows that maybe we should be seeking out some of those kind of people and trying to get them to come back. That they've traveled the world, they've made their wealth. Now let's bring them back home, and maybe some of them can open a business that's large enough to employ, you know, a significant amount of our citizens. But just looking at past successes, it seems to me the common thread between all of them is the people who started those companies had a connection to that town.
Right.
Good point. And I'll bet Jim Gann's working on
I'm sure he is.
it, knowing Jim.
We need a list of who's who, and we need to start.
Yeah.
Take the reunion list.
That's right,
Yeah.
the reunion list, that's
Yeah.
right, among others.
Any other comments? Well, I have one. I don't know if anybody realizes it, but this is Mary McAllister's last meeting that she will be with us. And I just want to say what a delight she has been to work with for all of these years. Mary, what was your when did you come on board?
August 29th of 2005.
2005, and she brought somebody with her at the
My
same
helper
time.
over
She
there.
didn't bring him, but you just kind of came at the same time.
Come
It just
on,
worked
yeah.
out that way. 2005. And I think both of them, if they would have known what they were getting into, they probably would not have had anything to do with us. Because Mary's office was the most disorganized office I've ever seen in my life. And Morris,
About right here.
Right here, exactly.
Morris remembers, and Henry remembers, but she went into that office and literally cleaned it out and organized it like nobody I've ever seen. I mean, the chairs were like a foot deep in papers, and I think she found...
She had to clean it out before she could get in it.
So, and what a wonderful disposition she has, and she has worked with the public, and anybody that does that, no, that's certainly not something that comes easily, but I don't think she's ever upset anybody. So,
Maybe.
but she will be missed greatly by all of us, I know, on a personal note and on a business note and on a political note. So she's retiring officially and getting that Social Security check now. So she's on a limited income, so don't be asking her for much. But
Right.
anyway, we certainly wish her absolutely nothing but the best in the future and hope that you and Steve, your husband, have a wonderful retirement together. So we will miss you.
Here, here.
Did you want to say anything?
Now that we got you crying.
Yeah.
No,
Give her that
I'm
box of Kleenex.
I've been very, very fortunate to work with an administrative staff of Megan and Earl and Julie. I can't thank them enough for the patience that they had with me for the past 10 years and the time that each one of them would take to teach me what I needed to learn. That was invaluable to me, it really was, and I thank them for that. It's my own personal opinion, but I think we have probably one of the best city staffs around. And we owe that to the department heads that we have here. They give countless tireless hours to each one of their departments, And without them, we wouldn't have this. We really, really wouldn't. And the city should be proud of them. A lot of times we hear a lot of negative comments that are made, and that's not true. I mean, once you've been behind the desk and you see what they do, it means a lot. They work hard out there, they really do. And last but not least, I have the city council here. Over the last 10 years, I've worked with a lot of them, a lot of different ones that I've seen come and go. Some have been here, Marcy's been here forever, okay? I made him leave because I'm leaving, that's the way it is, but there's been a lot of different faces that have come and gone. And I honor you and I respect you for the time that you give to the city. This is not easy. When I talk with the candidates that come and file for these positions, I really try to explain it to them. This is not a 30-minute job 2 Mondays a week, okay? There's a lot more that's involved, and I think all of you know that. And you deserve a lot of appreciation for what you do. And each one of you, every time I called, you were always there, and whatever I needed, you were always willing to help me with. And I thank you for that. I don't know that I could compare these past 10 years to anything else. It's been an experience. I agree with Julie. When I came in, I thought, what in the world have I got myself into? But with Earl's help, I mean, he and I, we learned a lot of things here. And it's been an experience, and I thank each one of you for it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Mary, we wish you well, and welcome,
Thank you.
Teresa. And with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'll see you around the
I'm sure.